Hello everyone, welcome to my Alien Isolation, Nightmare difficulty, no damage, no human kills walkthrough, and this is the part of the game where the androids have been let loose. And it's going to begin from here, all the way up to the point where Samuels dies. And as you can see right here, we have gained access to the shotgun, which is a weapon you get halfway through the game. This is the halfway point of the game, and I'm honestly surprised that we're getting the shotgun now, considering how bad the shotgun is. And normally in survival horror games, a shotgun is an early game tool, but on this game you get it halfway for some reason. But you're not going to see me being very conservative with the shotgun. Oh, and also, by the way, right here, there's a chance that there could be two androids before this elevator, so you gotta be very careful as you're making your way to this elevator. But as I was saying, the shotgun on this game, it is damaging against androids, but it's about 4 headshots to actually take out androids, and the shotgun has no knockback capabilities whatsoever, like how a shotgun is normally supposed to be, so it's pretty useless in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it can be useful if you're trying to get rid of any enemy that's in front of you, or if you don't have any revolver ammo, so you're just able to stun an android in order to get past them. But really, the only times I ever use the shotgun on this game is against the big encounter with the androids, where you have to kill a certain one in order to get a key card, and the game gives you a lot of ammo before that point. And I also use the shotgun against facehuggers. I definitely think the shotgun is the best tool to use against facehuggers, even if there is a very high risk of getting damaged by the acid blood that is released whenever you don't use the flamethrower or the stun rod. But the shotgun is really beneficial for actually hitting the very tiny hitbox on a facehugger, and facehuggers on this game, as I've already mentioned before, are very broken because their hitboxes are so tiny that they can somehow get through attacks that they shouldn't be able to get through. Like, somehow they can get through a full stream from a flamethrower if you're not specifically waiting on them to stand still. They're so broken in that regard. But as long as you actually keep your distance from a facehugger and you utilize the widespread on the shotgun, you should be fine. But this part right here, the androids are let loose, and they're going to be attacking the humans. For that part right there, you have to stay on the left-hand side and lean to the left, so that the human doesn't spot you immediately, and you have to make sure the androids actually detect that human and go after him. And the moment you hear a gunshot from the human, it means you are free to go. But avoid the rest of the androids. And I highly recommend you craft a flashbang for the sequence, because there's actually a human on one of the upper floors that can hear you as you're sprinting, and because the state of the humans isn't altered whatsoever by what's happening in the environment, they're still going to behave like normal and prioritize your noises rather than what's happening in the environment. And they'll act like nothing's happening, they'll just act like nothing is around, even though there's all these androids running around. It's just incredibly broken. And I don't know how effective the flashbang is, because I've never really used flashbangs, but for something that one human on the upper floor, it's definitely reliable. Like right here, this human could be walking down that staircase right in front of me right now, at any moment. I had that happen on one of my attempts at this. It was really annoying. See, like that, look at that, look at that. You see that? I was very lucky that he didn't aggro on me immediately. If he had aggroed any sooner, I was done for, and I would have taken damage, or been meleeed by him. It's so stupid. So be extra cautious when going up that staircase, and prep your flashbang when necessary in order to get past them. I mean, I don't really understand why they would ignore such a fundamental system. Like, the whole mechanic of enemies dynamically changing their behavior in response to an environmental change is a completely fundamental process in modern gaming. But why this game decided to ignore it, it makes no sense. It is so broken, and I really don't like it whatsoever. But go left on this corridor right here. Do not go through that door. It just wastes time. And watch out for that downed android, and then get inside of the vent. And there is an opportunity to pick up some loot if these guys have it. And then we're going to proceed onward to Seegson Synthetics, which is where Samuels is. And Seegson Synthetics isn't so bad. The encounters with the androids are pretty simple. Right here, before we can actually get to Seegson Synthetics, we need to get past a bunch of androids that are in the way. We're back in this main area again, and this android over here, who was previously chasing me, he seems to always be on the left-hand side whenever you exit that door. And then you need to go up here, you need to go left, and then just keep going straight, and then eventually you're going to need to go to the right, which is right around here. And there is a single android right near the tram, so you're going to have to be very careful and navigate the environment so that you're able to not take any damage from this android while you're waiting for this tram to come. It's seeing this how I'm just dealing with a single android. I've decided to speed up the video here, because what would I be commenting about? Just keep your distance. Simple. I mean, you gotta be very careful at times, because sometimes the androids don't do exactly what you're expecting, and they go around corners that you're not really expecting them to go around, so they can kind of cut you off at times. So, be very cautious, and we are now inside of the side med tower. And I forgot to mention, the Xenomorph isn't around. You're not going to be seeing the Xenomorph for a couple of missions until we get to reactor maintenance. I think that's one of the main qualities of this game I can appreciate. I mean, even though the Xenomorph is the titular antagonist of this game, the game doesn't try to overuse the Xenomorph so much. It trusts in actually saving the Xenomorph for specific moments. And I gotta give the game credit for that. You know, there is such a thing as overusing an enemy a little too much in survival horror games. You know, this was something that games like Resident Evil 0 embraced a lot, because how many plague crawlers and hunters did you come across whenever you were playing Resident Evil 0? There was just way more than what was necessary. Yet, for the dogs in the first level of Resident Evil 0, they only utilize them 4 times, and that's the only time you ever encounter the dogs. And I gotta commend Capcom for utilizing the dogs for only that specific sequence, but I just find it very strange that they would choose to overuse the plague crawlers and the hunters. I really feel like if you're overusing an enemy type too much in a game, it demonstrates a lack of confidence in your enemy types, and you're not trusting the enemies to actually provide a lasting impact for the player. You know, that's what it felt like when I was playing Outlast 1 and Outlast 2, because in the Outlast series, they overuse a lot of the same mini-bosses. Like, look at the amount of times you encounter Chris Walker in Outlast 1, and then look at the amount of times you encounter Martha in Chapter 1 of Outlast 2. And it's like, how the heck are they there? It doesn't make any sense for them to suddenly be here. Like, how the heck have they just magically teleported to this location? You know, I think a better example to revive would be with, like, Nick and Laird from Chapter 2 of Outlast 2. It makes no sense how they're able to just go from point A to point B as if they've just teleported, and they're overused way too much, and they're just a very bullcrap enemy type. They just aren't the best enemy type whatsoever in Outlast 2. But we're now about to encounter a whole bunch of androids right now, and there's only one android that you have to deal with, and he's the one who always has the keycard, and it's the one at the bottom left. So, as I'm making my way over, do you see the guy on the very left, the one who's closest to me? He's the guy you want to kill. You can't damage these androids until you actually press the switch. It's rather silly that it works like that, but when you get to this threshold over here, the androids are going to be active, but I choose to take the normal approach because I'm going to have less ammo in the process, and I want to demonstrate that even with less ammunition, you'll still be able to get through this game effectively. So, if you choose to just kill that guy very quickly before the other androids have a chance to catch you, you're going to have a lot more ammunition than me, and you'll probably be able to have a lot more leniency with your ammunition for certain parts of the game. But you'll notice right now the game is giving you a lot of ammunition, which is really good design. And I like that they do this because it rewards skill when it comes to understanding that you only have to deal with one enemy in this encounter who has the keycard. So if you use your ammunition intelligently, you're able to save up so much ammunition. And I made a save right there just in case I mess this up, but I managed to get it on the first attempt. And for this sequence, you'll see me utilize the EMP mine, and this is the only time I ever utilize this tool, because after this sequence, all the tools that help in short-circuiting the androids are going to be completely useless, because all of these normal androids are going to be replaced by Super Joes. And the thing with Super Joes is they're wearing rubber suits, and because they're wearing rubber suits, it allows them to be completely insulated when it comes to electric tools, so you won't be able to short-circuit them whatsoever. I mean, there will occasionally be normal androids, but you can just use a stun rod on them, and as long as you time your hit with the stun rod, they won't be able to attack you before your stun rod actually hits them. But I have to use 2 EMP mines here because I was a little slow just then, because the shotgun fires very slowly, and it only has 4 bullets in its magazine, so you're going to have to be reloading a lot, and you have to hold square to reload, which just seems like a very outdated mechanic, and I don't really understand why the game does this. Why would you put in a system where you're going to be able to partially fill your magazine? You know, obviously the player wants to have a fully filled magazine, so the whole holding square system seems completely redundant in the end. It just doesn't make any sense. But there's the one that has the keycard. Like I said before, as long as you kill him before you get through this door, you'll have no trouble with getting past the sequence. And this is a completely optional encounter done. And I'm really glad that the sequence exists because it helps in diversifying the gameplay, and there haven't been any moments before that point where Ripley has been forced to fight back in order to get through a sequence. And I'm not counting the moments with the Xenomorph because you're still, in the end, just waiting for a process to happen that will allow you to escape the area. But this one is just different because you actually have to kill an enemy in order to get their keycard. And, you know, I'm glad that the game has such situations because realistically, that's always going to be the case. I mean, look at the Outlast series. The Outlast series, there's never a moment where the character is forced to fight back, and it makes no sense whatsoever. And you'd think that because you're on the enemy's turf, they'd be well aware as to how to protect their territory, but they're just very incompetent at what they do. And it's really hilarious to think about, and it makes me not respect the lethality of the enemies whatsoever. But that sequence I completely sped up because it's just a moment where you have to avoid that cold air so that you don't take any damage. And it's all incredibly simple, but this one right here I've sped up as well because it's all just stealth, and stealthing this section is incredibly easy. Just hug the left-hand side, watch out for the camera, do not be in the same direction that the camera is facing because even though the game is kind of making it seem like that square formation, if you stand inside of it, you're going to be detected by the camera, you still get spotted by it. So that's the end of that sequence, and we're going to be backtracking through that area after we do this little sequence with Samuels, which I do like Samuels. I mean, he's definitely one of the few androids in the Alien series that's actually good, and it's quite ironic because he's been developed by Weyland-Yutani, and Weyland-Yutani are the primary antagonists of the Alien series. I just wonder why he's so different compared to the normal android models that Weyland-Yutani uses. But this sequence here is just very underwhelming because all you're doing is just disabling these cables and you're just going from left to right all the time. And I don't know why the game tries to make it seem like you're supposed to listen to Samuel and they're trying to build up tension from that. It just seems very silly to me. It's like they originally intended for that sequence to be randomized each time you did this game. But in the end, they just opted for a completely linear sequence, but they didn't update the dialogue. It just seems kind of off-putting to me. And it makes Samuel's last words to Ripley feel like it doesn't have a lot of impact. And I really feel like if we got more of Samuel's in this game, and they made that sequence a little bit better with how interesting it could have been, I think Samuel's last words to Ripley could have been a lot more impactful, because I do like that line he says to Amanda, where he says he wants Amanda Ripley to have closure. And it is definitely a nice conclusion to his character arc. But at the same time, it has to feel like it doesn't come out of nowhere. Like, you need to have that amount of build-up in order to ensure that such a line comes out as being very impactful. But they just didn't really do that with a lot of the characters on this game, because I really feel like they wanted to focus more on Amanda Ripley, given that Amanda just wasn't referenced whatsoever in the first Alien movie, and that was something that Sigourney Weaver really didn't like, because had they established that relationship between Ellen and Amanda Ripley, that would have actually made the whole moment where Ellen finds Newt in the second Alien movie a lot more impactful, and it actually would make a lot of sense. But they just didn't opt for it in the end when they were making the film franchise. But this has been the moment where the androids have been let loose. Stay tuned for the future parts. Thank you all for watching, and you take care now.